Happy St. Patrick's Day, Patriots fans. It is Patriots Today by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham, Nick Rohloff, a.k.a. Rolly, joining me in a second. 10, count them, 10 mock drafts on the channel. This is number 10 after the first week of NFL free agency. We'll get you caught up on what the Patriots could do just a few weeks from now. This is going to be your hub for Patriots draft coverage, so we encourage you to subscribe to the channel today. It is 100% free. Mock drafts, draft targets, draft trade ideas. We're going to cover it all. Don't forget, don't miss out. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and never miss a video. All right, round one, pick number 3. There's a lot of chatter. Could the Patriots trade down? I know Rolly did a video on that possibility with the Vikings looking to move up. But to me, Nick, if the Commanders are eyeing Jayden Daniels, and there's been a lot of buzz there. I did see Daniel Jeremiah said Drake Maye still in the mix there too. There's still 6 weeks to go, 5 weeks, whatever it is. To me, if Drake Maye is sitting there at 3, you got to pull the trigger, man. I think he's clearly the second best quarterback in this draft behind Caleb Williams.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what Washington does. It's smokescreen season. I told Harrison before we came on and filmed this video, I just need the draft to be here. I can't take it anymore. But after the free agency moves Washington made, especially at the quarterback position, it leaves me conflicted because they signed Marcus Mariota and traded away Sam Howell. So you can look at this in two ways. Did they sign Mariota to be the backup because he fits Jayden Daniels' play style a little bit more than Drake Maye, and it would make sense to bring in Mariota to be Jayden Daniels' backup. But yet again, they trade away Sam Howell, which to me almost signifies they might go to Drake Maye because they didn't want the awkward best friend UNC switch up there where Maye would be taking Sam Howell's spot. They are best friends, so you could create an awkward situation. So I don't really know where to think with Washington, but I do lean they are going to go Jayden Daniels, and that's what happened in this mock draft, which allowed New England to get Drake Maye. And I'm with you. If the Patriots are there at 3 and Drake Maye is on the board, you better take the quarterback. I will be in absolute shambles. I will turn in my fan card. Not really. But I would be as disappointed as any Patriots fan out there if they passed on this guy at number 3 and elected to either trade back or go somewhere else.
Yeah, look, as time has gone on, Rolly, and I think you somewhat agree with me here, I wouldn't be upset with Daniels at 3 if they go that route, like if Maye's gone. But you could talk me into a trade down for a lot of picks or whatever if you're not sold on Jayden Daniels because – look, there are question marks for him as a passer. His passing chart's interesting. He doesn't throw over the middle of the field that much. Drake Maye is an absolute hunter over the middle of the field. You can make a strong argument he is the best over the middle of the field thrower in this draft. He throws with anticipation. Yeah, does he get in trouble? Does he take some risks? Yes, but I think if you can get the second best quarterback in this draft, at worst, I know a few people still like him as much as Caleb. I know Rolly's kind of gone back and forth on that. I do think at 3, it's like undeniable value there. Like, take the quarterback. I get it. We've been a little frustrated with the lack of big-time moves in free agency, but you load up this year, you're still going to have to find a quarterback down the road. Are you going to be picking in the top 3 in the future? Is next year's draft class going to be as good as this one's at quarterback? Probably not. If Drake Maye's there, I'm pulling the trigger, and I'm not thinking twice about it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, but we'll ask you, should the Patriots trade back or take a quarterback at number 3? Type D for draft, type T for trade. I know there's a lot of holes on this team, but to me, you got to start the rebuild and get things heading in the right direction at that quarterback spot first. You could figure out offensive tackle and wide receiver later in the draft, potentially moving back from 34 if you want to accumulate more picks and find it that way. I'm typing my Ds for drafting quarterback at number 3.
Yeah, so am I. Let's get into the second round here. Lad McConkey, the wide receiver out of Georgia. He's kind of right on that late first, early mid-second line. I could see the Chiefs at 32 maybe going that route, but they did sign Hollywood Brown, so maybe not. McConkey is really good, and I saw Dane Brugler said he had a strong pro day too. I think he said his 3-cone shuttle would have been the fastest at the combine.
Out of any position, by the way, not just wide receiver.
Yeah, which is really impressive. And he had some injuries at Georgia, which I think kind of limited really how much we'd be talking about this guy, for being completely honest. And obviously that Georgia offense has been pretty balanced. They run the football a lot, so it's not like he's put up crazy numbers, but he's still been productive. And look, he could play slot. He could play. I think he's fast enough to play outside, has enough size to do that as well. I don't think he's a number 1 in the NFL, Rolly, but I think he has potential to be a really good number 2. Get him out here, good route runner. He could separate, get Drake Maye a weapon here in the second round.
I mean, don't be fooled. This guy's got speed. He ran a 4.39 at the combine, and then you mentioned the shuttle.
The quickness
he
is there
is
too.
very athletic. He's very quick. He's a really good route runner. I think he could play inside, but that's the question with Demario Douglas. I think he could also play outside. Is he going to be that true X wide receiver for New England? Likely not. Maybe that's Kendrick Bourne's role. If you did go Ladd McConkey at 34, you put Bourne back to the X. You could have McConkey run a little bit of the Z inside then with Demario Douglas. I like Ladd McConkey. If he could stay healthy, he would be a difference maker. Not going to call him Cooper Kupp, but he has excellent route running, and he can threaten you deep down the field with his speed as well. I think McConkey would be an excellent selection at 34. And listen, in this mock draft, I didn't stop at wide receiver with Ladd McConkey. I doubled up in the third round here, 68. I went Xavier Legette. Now, I wouldn't hate going offensive tackle here, but with Legette still there, which, by the way, I think he goes in the second round, but he was there at this position, and I just took best player available, and it helps New England at another position of need. Legette, to me, is a really, really good prospect as well.
Yeah, value play here, Rolly. I think he's worthy of being a top 50, top 55 pick, but guys always slip. Maybe he's one that does. He's a bigger frame. He can give you some yards after the catch. Pretty good contested catch guy as well. Maybe he's a guy that has X potential for you in the future. But listen, I know there's a lot of conflicting opinions on Spencer Rattler as a prospect. If he didn't have Xavier Legette, I don't know what that South Carolina looks like the past 2 years, because when in doubt, Rattler just gave Legette a chance to make a play, and more often than not, he did. Big fan of his game. Had a pretty good Senior Bowl as well, so I would certainly not be opposed, and quite frankly, think it's a pretty good idea to double dip at receiver if the Patriots don't end up adding another impact receiver in free agency, which there aren't really that many of those left unless they want to go get Mike Williams or something like that.
Yeah, I think doubling down makes a lot of sense for New England because, yes, you do need to figure out offensive tackle, and there are still some moves in free agency and in the draft or the trade market you can make to maybe go away from the double wide receiver. But if there's a guy that you like on your board, like I like with Legette, and you could get him at 68, it makes sense because this wide receiver room is absolutely horrid. I don't want to discredit some of the guys on the team, but Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, and Juju Smith-Schuster as your top 3 guys right now, that simply can't happen. You bring in McConkey and a guy like Xavier Legette that euthanizes your wide receiver room, but it also allows you to get faster and more explosive. And what did Eliot Wolf need to weaponize the offense? Those 2 guys, you add that or 2 similar players to this team, boy, can you really get that wide receiver room moving in the right direction going forward.
And the beauty of doubling up too, Rolly, is it doesn't put the pressure on both guys having to be great right away.
Yeah.
As long as one of them can impact as a rookie, maybe the other one takes a little longer to develop, that's fine because Bourne's a professional receiver. Obviously, he's coming off the ACL. We'll see how that progresses. Douglas showed enough as a rookie where if you throw him out there, that's not going to be a problem. So I'm definitely a fan of going that route. And again, I just think the value play there, like him there at 68, Legette is really, really good value. And I like the framework of this trade as well that you put together in this mock. Tampa, maybe they are willing to add a guy that could be a 3 or a 4 in Juju, drop 14 spots in the draft, not a major drop there to move down from 89. And then you go up and get Patrick Paul, who I think is worthy of being a round 2 selection. His athletic testing is off the charts. He's 6'7", 330, 36-inch arms, Rolly. This guy was built in an offensive line factory. Like, if you could build an athletic profile for a 2024 offensive lineman, Patrick Paul fits that mold pretty damn well.
Yeah, and the Patriots still haven't addressed that left tackle spot in free agency, at least up to now. You brought back Michael Wenu, and you signed Chukwuma Okorafor, but the question is, how does this new Patriots coaching staff and regime look at Michael Wenu? They could view him as a guard because he played 2 years of right guard, but he also played 2 years of right tackle. So how do they view that? If they view him as a right tackle, well, maybe you just got to fill that left tackle spot. But if Wenu is at right guard, well, now you might have to look at both tackle positions. And I think it's fine. You mentioned that trade using Juju Smith-Schuster as a over the top to get that done potentially, because if this hypothetical situation, we added 2 young wide receivers and then you get those 2 guys alongside Kendrick Bourne and Demario Douglas, and now you got a nice little crew there, and Paul is just a fantastic player. You mentioned his athletic profile. How about jumping conferences up to the Big 12, yet elevating his play and being one of the best pass blockers in the entire collegiate level this year? 91.5 pass blocking grade. I love Patrick Paul. You mentioned he could go in the second round, but if he's there in the third, man, I think you got to take him.
I also think, too, the run blocking's kind of an average grade there. You got to remember, Houston ran that classic air raid college offense that you see. So, like, take the run blocking with a grain of salt. I think he's got the power and the athletic profile to get on the move if you want to run some outside zone and just blow people up in the run game. So I'm not that concerned that his run blocking was lower. They didn't run the ball much. So it's like, you can't really have a super deep evaluation of how good he can be as a run blocker at this point. So I think he's a really good prospect. This is a great offensive tackle draft, really, which sets it well for New England if they're not going to make moves in free agency, because there's a lot of receivers, there's a lot of tackles. So if they want to just load up in the draft, there's certainly options to do that if you're Eliot Wolf and Jerron Mayo. Hit that subscribe button. We got a sub battle going on in the month of March. Patriots Today, the Broncos breakdown. We're holding them off, but it's tight. Let's keep it going. Let's get the race to 1,000 here. Can we beat them to 1,000 new subs? I think we can. We're pumping out content every single day. A lot of draft content. We'll still keep you guys up to date with everything happening in NFL free agency. Keep you caught up on the latest news and rumors as well. So subscribe today. It's free. Let's take down those Broncos right now. All right, day 3 picks, Rolly. Athletic profile, Theo Johnson, who tested just off the charts at Penn State. You still need that number 3 tight end. Why not throw a dart here in the 5th round?
I mean, look at the RAS. And RAS isn't going to completely mean you're going to be good in the NFL, but just some perspective on him grading at a 9.98. In NFL history, based on his size, his weight, Theo Johnson ranked as the 3rd most athletic tight end in NFL history at the Combine. This guy is a freak, in having Hunter Henry back on a 3-year deal, Austin Hooper as a veteran on a 1-year deal, allows you to bring in Theo Johnson, be that 3rd tight end, maybe learn as more of a blocker, and then next season elevate to that tight end 2 role when Austin Hooper probably leaves the team and isn't brought back. I am a big fan of bringing in Theo Johnson, late round pick, because the Patriots still currently don't have a 3rd tight end on the roster, to learn behind a couple veterans and then maybe take that next step. He's got the athletic profiles. I mean, 6'6", 260. Come on. What else can you ask for? Not the most productive guy at Penn State. He had 7 touchdowns, so good red zone target. But the thing is, Drew Aller also stunk, and that Penn State offense was bad through the air.
I mean, 34 catches for a collegiate tight end is not nothing, especially when you're playing with subpar quarterback play. Listen, I mean, this guy up in person at the Combine, you just look at him, you're like, okay, are you a edge rusher or a tight end? I mean, the guy is just a freak. And he just runs exceptionally well. So we talked about this before free agency, Rolly. Sign 1 or 2 guys at tight end in free agency and then get someone in the draft. This is kind of would be completing that arsenal that we envisioned, and I absolutely love the idea. All right, round 6, pick number 180, Jalen Harrell, the edge out of Michigan, of course, part of a national championship team there. 6.5 sacks, was like kind of a high-level role player for the Wolverines. Plays with a good motor there in the 6th round. Pretty damn good value here, I'd say.
Yeah, and we know the connection between Michigan and New England is strong. You have Josh Uche, Chase Winovich, the pick a couple of years back. Wouldn't hate continuing that pipeline along the defensive line. They brought back Uche. They brought back Anthony Jennings. So they didn't make a splash at edge. They just continued to maybe get a rotation there of Jennings play early downs because he's an excellent run stopper. Uche coming in on 3rd down. You had some more depth here with Harrell, who has experience coming in and just being a pass rusher in those types of situations. I don't hate the pick. And listen, let's just make things clear here. When you're in the 6th round, you're throwing darts, so you're just trying to find someone who can maybe be an impact player in very limited spot.
And also, based on what they paid Uche, I think they're very open to adding more at edge. I mean, whether it's in free agency or in the draft, they didn't commit major money there, so I would not be surprised if they went that route. Has Eliot Wolf earned your trust?
Oh,
Type
boy.
Y for yes, type in for no. I mean, look, they tried to get Calvin Ridley. It's not their fault he didn't sign there. I don't think we should be super negative on him, but I don't think it's way too early to say he's earned the fan base's trust, right?
Yeah.
I think we're still very much in wait-and-see mode.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, like, if you believe that he had a plan outside of Calvin Ridley. I like that he went after him, offered him $22 million, because I don't think Belichick would have ever offered that much money to Calvin Ridley. But the lack of left tackle or other wide receivers
It's a little
bit
concerning, no doubt. Couple more here. Kamal Haddon, the corner out of Tennessee. There's been some chatter, Rolly. Maybe bring back J.C. Jackson. I'd almost rather do something like this, though. Just get a guy you can develop late in the draft like this. Had some good ball production last year. 3 picks, 7 pass breakups, decent size at 6'1". So I certainly wouldn't mind that. Not sure if you had anything more to add on that selection.
Yeah, it's just more or less like you need more depth because your top 3 guys right now are John Jones, Christian Gonzalez, Marcus Jones. You have Alex Austin returning. No word on Miles Bryant if he's going to come back, because he played a lot of nickel last year for New England. But getting a 4th, 5th cornerback, if you project Austin to be that 4th guy this year, is probably beneficiary for New England. So I wouldn't be surprised if they target cornerback, honestly, earlier in the draft if they address some other needs in a different situation. But Kamal Haddon, someone that I kind of like, keep your name or eyes out for him.
Corner is one of those positions, too, where, like, if you have a lot of picks, you almost should just draft one every year.
Yeah.
Because, like, guys
teams, too.
Guys get hurt. You need gunners on special teams, so certainly wouldn't mind that. And then you get Curtis Jacobs, linebacker out of Penn State in the 7th round. Again, at this point in the draft, especially in this draft, a lot of scouts and evaluators view rounds 5 through 7 pretty thin because a lot of guys stayed in school. They still have COVID years. NIL's playing a role. You're kind of just throwing darts. Well, play a guy who you know is going to have a good athletic profile out of Penn State, so certainly wouldn't mind that. Okay, grade this Patriots mock draft 10.0 A, B, C, D, or F. And if you want to go above and beyond, continue to have that dialogue around quarterback in the comments. A lot of discussion around it right now. Could they trade down with Minnesota? Could they, there's other ideas of maybe Washington trades down and New England's involved in that. So we'll see what happens moving forward. A, B, C, D, or F, grade this mock draft. All right, my name is Harrison Graham. Thanks for tuning in. We'll have more Patriots coverage tomorrow. If there's breaking news today, we'll hit you with a video on that as well. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. We'll see you next time.